Hi everyone, I'm Lauren, and today it's time to haul some books. With the pandemic going on and just like stress and whatever, I just wanted to buy a bunch of books. Even if I don't get to all of them right away, I wanted some books. Some of them I definitely bought from a local bookstore as well to support local bookstores and all that. Some of them are from Amazon just because that's where I bought them from, and since I could afford them, I think it's okay. And they make me happy, so I'm happy. It's hard to get them all in frame because the setup that I have right now is really tight, so it's kind of hard to get a good view of all of them. But there's, I think, almost 50 books that I've purchased. Let's just get on with some books. There's not going to be any particular order because I just piled them on and didn't think about that, and I don't think I want to move this pile. It's kind of crazy. First, I just want to mention this is not a reading sort of book, but I got bread illustrated from America's Test Kitchen. I just really wanted to bake some bread, and I'm not very good at it. I have not really succeeded very well, and someone recommended that this was a good one. It's a lot of instructions on technique. There's a lot of simple and medium difficulty and really, really difficult bakes in here, so there should be a lot in here to last me a while, assuming that I actually like the stuff that I try out of here. But I've heard good things about America's Test Kitchen anyway, so hopefully I'll be making some yummy bread soon. Then we have The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, illustrated by Robert Ingpen. I don't remember how I saw this, but I just found it randomly, and I have not read The Wind in the Willows, but I've seen the cartoon by Disney, and I remember really liking it, and I wanted to try this out. And this specifically is an illustrated edition, and so it is a lot of cool art, so I was just like, oh, jump on that. You get these 2-page spreads for each chapter, and it's like so much detail, and it's so cool. You also get a lot of just single-page illustrations for important scenes. I don't know if I'm in frame, let's hope I am. And then throughout, you also get little tinier illustrations. So I think there's art on like every page, or every 2-page spread at the very least, and I think that's pretty crazy, and it looks really good. So hopefully I like the actual story as well. In my covers I really didn't like video, I mentioned that I have this copy of Grimm's Fairy Tales, and I really hated the cover. Well, I get to finally replace that with the Barnes & Noble edition of the Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales, and it looks so much better, and it's just so much more pleasant to look at. I know covers don't super duper matter. I mean, it's with the inside that counts. But, I mean, if I could have a really nice edition versus a really ugly one, I'd much rather have the nicer one. Bonus with this one, it is also illustrated and for some pages. I think both black and white and in color. And this has all the fairy tales that are in my older edition, and it also is the exact same translation, so I don't have to worry about it being completely different. So, yeah. And it's still shiny on the side. And it has some cool shiny on the back, too. So it's so much better. And you can kind of tell, like, this is like the Sleeping Beauty or whatever fairy tale I think they're referencing. Instead of just trees. Not just random trees, actually related to what's inside. So I'm really happy I got this. And I'll have to do a reread through these at some point, because I remember really enjoying them. So Barnes & Noble was having a get one half off or something like that sale for those special editions that they do. Among their selection, there was another collection that I was actually thinking about getting anyway. So just like, hey, it's on sale. I wanted to get it. I was actually thinking about getting it pretty recently, so I got it, and that is The Complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. It is also another pretty nice edition, obviously very different style, but also very nice. This has silver shinies, and also has a Quoth the Raven and Nevermore, very famous sea. And even the spine is really nice. I have not read much of Poe yet, but I really wanted to read more Poe. I remember really liking Poe, maybe I won't like Poe now. But, you know, I'm taking a chance, I guess. But this is really nice, and I am definitely looking forward to reading some Poe. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This one I just kind of randomly picked up. I heard it was a nice breezy sci-fi. I don't really know much about it, but a lot of people have some nice things to say about this, and it sounds like the kind of thing I would like in a sci-fi. Hopefully, I enjoy this too. So there are definitely a lot of these books that I picked up because I wanted to complete the series for my 2020 goals. This is one of those series. Song of the Lioness series by Tamora Pierce. This is in book 2, In the Hands of the Goddess. The Woman Who Rides Like a Man. And Lioness Rampant, all by Tamora Pierce. So yeah, now I can finally finish this series straight through without having to wait for the next copy or whatever. The only thing that's unfortunate with these, it seems like there were 2 editions of these hardcovers. There's this shiny one, and then there's this more matte one with shiny text, and it's like popped out a little bit. So the editions are a little bit different, but yeah, that's enough to bother me somewhat, but not enough to bother me. Enough to try and get just these matte ones, so whatever. The Falcon Thief, A True Tale of Adventure, Treachery, and the Hunt for the Perfect Bird by Joshua Hammer. This is one I randomly read a sample of on Amazon, and it sounded really exciting. It's like a tale of people who smug falcon eggs and sell them illegally. So I was like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. And I don't read too many nonfiction, so, you know, I just thought I'd pick it up. I don't think it was at my library, at least at the time that I was looking at it, so yeah, just decided to pick it up. The Lost World by Michael Crichton. I read Jurassic Park, also by Michael Crichton, this month. I haven't talked about my thoughts for Jurassic Park quite yet, but I really liked it, so I wanted to pick up the sequel as well. I'll be picking up the first one at some point soon, hopefully, but I know I'm going to be reading this in May, so I wanted to pick this one up first, so I have a nice copy to read from. I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. I really don't know much about this, but Murphy really liked this, and I remember reading a bit, and I thought it sounded interesting. I just tend to forget synopsises pretty quickly, but I think this is more of a contemporary, historically fiction-y about writing, I think. Kind of an interesting cover too, actually, so yeah, that's neat. Then we have The Arabian Nights, Tales of a Thousand Nights, Volume 1. This is the Penguin Classics edition that is translated by Malcolm C. Lyons. Recently, I kind of gotten interested in reading really, really old classics, I guess. Ones that have various translations and stuff. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to read this. I might not read it right away because I have a lot on my plate already. But a lot of people know about the Arabian Nights but haven't read them. And I don't know, I just kind of wanted to read them. I did pick up this edition because it's one of the only editions that is complete. A lot of these translations are abridged. It's not complete in this volume. If you buy the 3 volumes in the same edition, then it'll be complete. I am interested to see how I'll fare with these. They seem kind of interesting from what I previewed, so hopefully I like this too. I've already talked about these in my March wrap-up. I think that's what it was. But that is Higurashi When They Cry, Demon Exposing Arc, and Higurashi Dice Killing Arc, both by Ryukishi07. Yeah, I've already talked about these. This one I really didn't like, this one I really liked, so I'm going to be getting rid of this one, but I am keeping this. It is a really good, very creepy horror mystery series, and this is just kind of an extra one to the story, but I still really enjoyed it. Then I also picked up 2 Wheel of Time books in paperback, and that is The Great Hunt and The Dragon Reborn, both by Robert Jordan. I've already talked about The Great Hunt in my March wrap-up, I have not gotten to The Dragon Reborn, but I'll probably read this soon. I'm still reading through the series for my 2020 series goals, and I'm mostly enjoying it so far. So I wanted editions that I could actually read, and not the mass market paperbacks that my husband owns. Another big fantasy book, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, the first book in the Stormlight Archive series. I really don't know much about this, like plot-wise, synopsis-wise, because the synopsis is fairly vague. Just kind of, there's some big things going on, but I know I'll be reading this soon. And again, I wanted a paperback edition that I could actually read, and not the mass market that my husband has. So hopefully I enjoy this, because it is quite the hunky boy too. Then I also got a few light novels, and I got The Irregular at Magic High School Volume 1 by Tsutomu Sato. I recently watched the anime for this, and it's just a really interesting, action-packed, battle-y, magic school sort of anime, and I did enjoy that a lot, so I wanted to get to the light novels as well at some point, maybe soon. The other light novel I got was How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom Volume 1 by Dojo Maru. And this is one that I read the sample of a while ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I've already actually read it, and I really enjoyed it. It has a lot of, like, politics and policy type thing. It's a less of a fighty fight type light novel series. But I'll talk more about that when I do a wrap up. But I did really enjoy this, so I'm glad I got it. Then a new one that I am really excited to read, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I have not read a Grady Hendrix book before, but I've heard a lot of good things about his books. They just kind of sound like a lot of fun despite being sort of horror-y. So I wanted to try this one out. I also wanted to read this for my 2020 bingo. And yeah, this sounds like a fit. I don't really know much about it other than I assume that there's some slaying vampires going on. So I'm excited for this as well. Another really old classic that I wanted to pick up just because, that is this, Three Kingdoms by, or attributed to Liu Guangzhang, and this is translated by Moss Roberts. This is part 1. Again, I was just kind of randomly interested in this. A lot of Japanese books and a lot of other media kind of reference Three Kingdoms, or as it's usually titled, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. This is considered one of the better translations and more readable ones for a regular person. So I wanted to pick this up and read it at some point. Maybe not super soon again, but I am excited to go through this. I don't know much about it other than it's a Chinese epic kind of thing. People dying and fighting and political stuff, probably. This is only part 1, so I'll need to get part 2 as well at some point. The footnotes are in the second volume, which is a little bit annoying, but whatever. We'll see if I like this. Howl's Moving Castle, Castle in the Air, and House of Many Ways, all by Diana Wynne Jones. I read Howl's Moving Castle earlier this month, so I'll be talking about that soon. This is a reread as well, but I really enjoyed this, so I definitely wanted to pick up this and copies of the other 2 in the series, which I have not read before. And again, for my 2020 series goals, and man, I'm really excited to get to these. So these will definitely be read very soon, I think. Then we have Wild Magic, Wolf Speaker, Emperor Mage, and The Realms of the Gods, all by Tamora Pierce. Again, these 4 are in the Immortal series, and I have already completed this series, but I wanted to do a reread this year, and I remember really loving it. And I read Alana, I think, late last year, and I really liked that. And so I think I'll still like these a lot. So I just went ahead and got a box set of these, and I'm very much looking forward to these. I definitely want to get to these this year. Then I got Peril at End House, And Then There Were None, both by Agatha Christie. Parallel End House is I don't know what book it is. So this is the 7th book in the Poirot series, and Then There Were None is just a standalone. I just wanted to pick up some Christie books, because after I read the first Poirot book, I really enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I might, so I wanted to pick up more Poirot books. Unfortunately, the bookstore I ordered from didn't have the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th book in the Poirot series in this particular edition, so I just was like, I'll get the, 7th book, or whatever, and then I got And Then There Were None as well. I have tried to read And Then There Were None before, and I didn't really like it because I thought the characters were really dumb, so I dropped it. But kind of recently I realized that maybe that was the point, especially since I feel like I'm a bit more used to Christie after reading the first Poirot, so I wanted to give it another shot and support the bookstore. So yeah, that's why I got these. I will say this cover is really bad ugly though. Most of the ones in this series are quite nice, but this is not very nice at all. Then I got a self-published book, and that is Theonite Planet Aiden by M.L. Wang. This is another book that Murphy really highly recommends, and I haven't read too many self-published books, so I just kind of picked this up. The sample sounded really interesting. Main character has these powers that are really cool, but she has to hide them, but also wants to still try and train to use them, and I don't know, it just seemed really interesting, so I'm curious to see how the full book will be. And this is definitely one that was not in my library as well, so this would be the only way I could give it a chance, or buy the Kindle version, I guess, but I couldn't borrow it. The Ordinary Princess by MMK. I think this was also my March wrap-up, I think. But this was a reread, and this was a 5-star for me. I really enjoyed it. And just like a nice little fairy tale-esque thing, whimsical. And so I definitely wanted to get my own copy. The City of Ember, The People of Sparks, The Prophet of Yonwood, and The Diamond of Darkhold, all by Jean Duprat. I have read most of these before. I reread The City of Ember pretty recently. I don't remember if that was March or earlier than that, but I did really, really like it, so I just wanted to get all of the books in the series because I have read most of these before, and I really enjoyed them, so if I enjoyed this one, I think I'll enjoy the other ones as well. The only one I haven't read is The Diamond of Darkwood, and this is the last book in the series, so that's kind of awkward. I don't know how it ends at all. I definitely want to reread these other two, and then also finally finish the series and read this. I'm really looking forward to that. But then we have The Giver, Gathering Blue, Messenger, and Sun, all by Louis Lowry. This is all in the Giver Quartet. I very recently reread The Giver, really liked it. I have also read Gathering Blue, but I have not read it in a while, and I have not read The Messenger and Sun before, but I really, really liked The Giver, and I wanted to try out the other books as well. I have absolutely no idea what Messenger and Sun are about. I think a lot of people don't like those two as much, but I still want to give them a shot and see how I feel about them. The last chunk of books I got in a set, but I got a whole bunch of books all by one author, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware of him. The Magic Finger, Billy and the Minpins, SEO Trot, The BFG, Matilda, Boy, Going Solo, George's Marvelous Medicine, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, Danny and the Champion of the World, The Twits, The Witches, The Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, and finally, James and the Giant Peach, all by Roald Dahl. These books all came in a big old set, and it includes basically all of the great hits from Roald Dahl. There's a few books of his that aren't included in here, but, I mean, this is a lot of them, and a lot of the ones that people are familiar with. I've read about half of them, I think. I really enjoyed Roald Dahl growing up, and I just wanted to get some Roald Dahl, because I didn't have his books, and not wanting to give the ones that I have read a reread and the ones that I haven't read a just straight up read. So those are all the books that I picked up since my last book haul. It's a really big book haul. I have no idea what's in frame and what isn't. I am not picking them up. There's no way. I could hardly pick up half of them, never mind all of them. Let me know in the comments below if there's any of these you have read, your thoughts on them. Also, let me know if any of these you're particularly interested in me getting to soon. Maybe I'll bump them up on my list of things to read. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye!